I was already quite tipsy and I was about to leave the shop, and at this point he got me. May I proudly present the last bottle for purchase. Hi folks! Yes, I'm finally back. After an incredible 5-week road trip through France, I've returned with many unforgettable experiences and many exceptional bottles for my collection of the finest and rarest vintage spirits in the world. From Normandy to Gascony, I explored vineyards, distilleries and hidden gems that I can't wait to share with you. The journey began in Normandy, where I visited the famous Christian Drouin Calvados distillery and picked up their oldest still available vintage to buy from 1948. Next up was the Cognac area, where I visited the legendary Courvoisier and Delamare houses. At Courvoisier I had the chance to fill my own bottle straight from the barrel, and at the Delamare distillery I grabbed a 1988 vintage for my collection. The travel continued in Bordeaux. Here I went to a local wine shop and bought 2 famous and rare red wines that also go into my cellar. But the absolute highlight and main destination of my trip? Armagnac in Gascony, of course. I had the pleasure to visit several distilleries, such as the Hauts, Château de Lobart and d'Artigalang. I met incredible and friendly people, had the chance to taste a lot of different Armagnacs from different vintages, and of course added some nice and rare bottles to my collection. However, today I'm excited to dive deeper into the most impressive part of my trip. My visit to Armagnac, to the charming village of Nogaro. This is where I made one of my most valuable purchases yet. This beautiful village and its surrounding hills offer ideal sandy soils for grape wines. The unique terroir gives the grapes a strong and recognizable personality. This area is home to many renowned Armagnac distilleries, but my absolute highlight was the visit of the Hauts de Montrouge distillery. Here I was lucky enough to meet Philippe, their export manager. It turned out he was very friendly and also experienced. He gave me a fascinating introduction into the distillery and let me try several special Armagnacs from their production. As a result, I decided to purchase the 1966 and 1977 vintage from the Hauts de Montrouge brand. I was already quite tipsy and I was about to leave the shop when I came across one of their other brands, Armagnac de Montal. It turned out that actually the oldest vintages from their production are coming from this brand. Philippe explained me that they are selling vintages back to 1893. At this point my eyes widened, and then he told me they have only 1 bottle left of the 1893 vintage. And at this point he got me. I didn't hesitate long and decided to buy it on the spot. And here we are. May I proudly present the last bottle for purchase of the Armagnac de Montal 1893 vintage. But this wasn't the end. Philippe had another surprise for me. He offered me tasting samples straight from the barrel, the 1942, 1904 and 1898 vintage from the Armagnac de Montal. I waited a moment while the cellar master bottled and labeled the sample bottles for me. And of course I brought them home. And here we are, 3 sample bottles of these vintages, which I will taste now in front of the camera to have a memory for eternity. How amazing is that? Actually, Armagnac de Montal is one of the older and more prestigious names in the Armagnac industry. They have a rich history linked to the Montal estate in Gascony, where Armagnac has been produced for many generations. They are known for the quality of their aged Armagnacs, which are celebrated for their balance of richness, complexity and smoothness. Over the years, Armagnac de Montal has received several awards and recognitions, highlighting its reputation in the spirits industry. So what are we waiting for? Let's get started. I will start with the youngest vintage from 1942. When I say young, please keep in mind that all these vintages have just been bottled from the barrel, and even the youngest one has been matured for an astonishing 82 years. On the nose, mature fruit notes like raisins and dates. Also hints of chocolate, spices and old wood. Well-rounded and smooth profile, and a deep lingering finish. Yeah, this is already a very excellent Armagnac. It has to be rated already really in the 90s region. I would say 92. Let's go to the next one. Vintage 1904. How blessed am I that I can taste such a unique spirit. I will keep a rest in the bottle. Oh, this nose is already quite different. Rich, matured flavors, elements of dried figs, prunes and old oak. Oh, and on the palate, you really get the high complexity. I'm now tasting hints of caramel and toffee and a gentle smokiness. This is an amazing taste. I would rate it 93 points. Now we come to the final, the star of the day. An 1898 vintage, matured for 126 years in a barrel. Freshly barreled for me. Thank you again, Philippe. This vintage is extremely rare and has deeply complex and nuanced profiles. This time I can already smell caramel and toffee on the nose. On the palate, this time again dried fruits, but I would say I can also taste some tobacco and leather flavors. And there is an array of spices with a rich and smooth finish. This caramel on the nose is really so elegant. I never had it with other Armagnacs yet. But how can this unique spirit be rated? This is a really complex and very interesting flavor profile. But surprisingly, you even get some freshness among all the others. And I think I have to give an outstanding rating. I will decide for a rating of 97 points. So there you have it. 3 amazing vintages of Armagnac de Montal. One was better than the other. I didn't plan to rate the older vintages better than the younger. But it's true. Especially the 1898 vintage has an outstanding complexity. It would be so interesting to even try the 1893. But this one, I promise you, I will keep it for a very long time in my collection. A big thank you goes out to Philippe and his colleagues for making this tasting possible. I hope you enjoyed the tasting journey as much as I did. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future tasting adventures of the world's finest spirits. Thanks for watching and cheers to more discoveries.